by General Ibrahim Babangida, overseeing Nigeria's transition to democracy.
We formed what I called Interministerial Logistic Committee, because election is a civic duty at all levels, national level, state level, local government level, with community leaders mixed up with religious, mixed up with inter-ethnic, credible people, even at world level. All to mobilize transportation means to make sure that there was no failure. I explained, and the process of announcing the result incorporated in Decree 13 that allowed us to conduct June 12th election 1993. People have forgotten what we do is guided by law. Akpambo was then late the Attorney General of the Federation. In Decree 13, a section of it, there was a provision that once date and time have been set for general election in Nigeria, no court can stop us. But Ikpeme court tried to stop us May 10, or June 10. So I explained all this, that when result will be released, no one, not the president, not you, not the Transitional Council, in keeping with the decree, in keeping with the law, the process will start from the polling station to collation center at ward, to local government, to state, to national headquarters. That we would mount a large board to make it transparent. There will be no government interference in the process, in keeping with the law.
He played a crucial role in organizing the June 12, 1993 presidential election, widely regarded as Nigeria's freest and fairest poll.
On June 10, exactly 9:30 in the night, something unexpected also happened. Justice Ikpeme, late, gave judgment in the night that NEC should not conduct the election. I tried to reach the Attorney General, I couldn't. Tried to reach the President, I couldn't. All my national commissioners were in the field. I had only Director of Legal Services, he's still alive, the Secretary of the Commission, Alhaji Umar. Well, having failed to reach the President, I said the first thing in the morning, I will meet the Attorney General, because he is the Chief Law Officer of the NEC. What is happening? I went to him, first thing, before 8 o'clock. He said, you are Director of Legal Services and I just left, that he had asked him to bring all the decrees on transition to. He said, what is he bringing all this? We are talking about election tomorrow. He said, no, that, look here, there will be election. I said, how? This judgment have been given. He then told me, he, as an Igbo man, Akpambo, you, Humphrey, as Igbo man, heading NEC, Umadi was lawyer for ABN. Nzeribe was the coordinator of ABN. Go home and relax. There will be election. I didn't take him seriously. And he's made a statement that changed the equation throughout the country. He said they would have meeting at 10 o'clock. That was June 11. And after the meeting, I would be asked to go ahead with the election. Something in me asked, would there be a meeting, highest ruling body in this country, with me, a chief electoral officer of Nigeria, not being invited? I wanted to ask the Attorney General. I said, no, I wouldn't, but I will attend the meeting, uninvited.
The presidential election was won by Chief Moshood Abiola, the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, defeating Bashir Tofa of the National Republican Convention. WOSU's commission introduced the novel Option A4 voting system and the open ballot system. WOSU had released many election results when he was ordered by the Babangida military regime to stop further announcements.
We held the press conference between 1 and 3, June 11, 1993. An election was held. It was free, it was credible, It was monitored. The result was almost ready by the time 15, 2 days, 3 days. When I told them, we have nothing to discuss. The law is clear. We should be allowed to conclude the process. Yes. Humphrey, said that we should be allowed to conclude the process that had led to this, that a winner had emerged, Abiola. I said that. The results were complete. But if you want political settlement, the government, that is far beyond us. Government can call Abiola, who won, and Tofa, and discuss with them and Nigerians that we are out of.
Nwosu received numerous awards, including the National Merit Award and Order of the Federal Republic, OFR. Survived by his wife, children, and grandchildren, Professor Nwosu's passing leaves a void in Nigeria's academic and political landscape. His contributions to democratic governance and electoral reforms remain an enduring legacy. Emmanuel Tewasid for Signature TV.
Such a diplomatic, democratic icon and legend we have. May he so continue to rest in peace. Service of songs and tributes was held in Abuja and ENUGU to honor the 11th President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo Worldwide, Chief Emmanuel Ewu Anyanwu, who passed away on July 25th, 2024. Let's take a look at what happened from the procession from Abuja down to Enugu State. Our correspondent who have been following up this development brings us this report so far.
The program of events for the burial of the late elder statesman, Chief Emmanuel Chukwuemeka Nwanyanwu, which commenced in Lagos, shifted to Abuja over the weekend as people from all walks of life and across all stratas gathered to give honor to whom it is due. Former President Goodluck Jonathan described Nwanyanwu as his mentor in politics, governance, and leadership. He said Nwanyanwu showed him enormous goodwill and had mentored him politically from the time he became Bayelsa State Deputy Governor, and regretted that his ambition to become Nigeria's president never materialized.
Nwanyanwu was one of the senior members of PDP that was strongly behind me in all my political journey from the days of when I was a deputy governor. People may not know, but he was as if he knew that I was going to grow higher than a deputy governor. He took me as a son, mentored me up to till I became a governor, vice president, president. He was always interacting with me and advising and making suggestions. I know in those days that this country was in a state of confusion when the president was so sick and everybody was confused. He on his own used to organize prayers for me. He didn't tell people. So he's somebody that was very dear to me.
I recall when I was younger, he was going around trying to find Igbos and our people generally all over the country to run for substantial office so that, our voice could be heard. And also, he wanted also globally reliable people from every tribe in Nigeria, those who are qualified, because my father believed in putting round pegs in round holes, square pegs in square holes, so that they can perform as their best ability.
Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma stated that the late Ohanaeze Ndigbo leader will be sorely missed in his state and across the entire southeast because of his remarkable achievements.
Nwanyanwu means a lot. If I should take a census of everybody who is here today, he had touched you in one way or the other. In Imo State alone, I don't think we'll be the same without him. What have you learned from his life that can change you now knowing that he's no more? We pray God to accept his soul because he came here blessing people, touching lives and changing situations and circumstances in people's lives. We'll miss him.
Iwanyanwu was a man for all seasons. I want to use this opportunity to also remember him for what he has done to Imo State at all times. He has been a pillar from the creation of Imo State till today. He has always worked with whoever is in charge in Imo State. He has always been a directing figure. He has always been a guardian.
Former Senate President Pius Ayim, in his tribute, shared his thoughts, saying the late politician treated him like a son.
And I was privileged when he was sick. He sent for me, and I saw him in the hospital on his hospital bed and prayed with him. I think that's the greatest consolation I have. I have lost a father. The Igbo nation has lost an icon. The Nigerian Federation has lost a patriot. May his soul rest in peace.
Other speakers also narrated how the late Nwanyanwu contributed to the development of Nigeria.
But one thing I will tell you that he will be remembered for was that he was a man who had no bitterness. He was somebody who believed in dialogue. He believed in dialogue, and he was always preaching accommodation for everybody. He wasn't a sectional personality, and in Nigeria, he will be remembered as somebody who related with everybody in Nigeria.
In Adela and Enik, perfect. Great number of Nigerians working there. In Oriental Airline, perfect. So, as a labor leader, from that angle, I recognize him from that angle, and I feel that something has been taken off from employers, from one of the greatest employers of labor, and the labor movement, whatever, would definitely feel it.
Iwanyanwu has set up a committee to register all the Igbo associations under one umbrella of Ohaneze, all the Igbo Town Union, and to keep a database of Igbo associations and the Igbos everywhere in the world. We have been able to establish, even in diaspora, organize all the Igbo bodies into one. Iwanyanwu is an enigma. He's an outstanding personality, and is an illustrious son of Igbo land.
And so for me, as Ohanese president, he became the president of Igbo. And he brought all of us together. And it's just one of those sad things about life that he has gone, but his glory will remain forever.
Emmanuel Chukwuemeka Nwanyanwu, who was born on the 4th of September 1942, died on the 25th of July 2024, and until his death is the 11th President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo. Activities will shift to Enugu on Saturday, 26th of October, with a brief stop at Ohaneze headquarters, 7 Park Lane, GRA, while the main event will be held at the Michael Opera Square in Abuja. Nasiru Usman for Signature TV News.
Welcome back. You're still watching From the Correspondent and Signature TV, where we'll bring to you the build-up into the stories, how our journalists, our correspondents source, edit, and bring the stories to you, the stories behind the headlines, and their own side of the story, what they encounter on the field. And our big story for today is the just concluded 17th edition of Art Festival organized by Life in My City Festival here in Enugu State, and yesterday was the grand finale. Let's take a look at what transpired at that event, our correspondent David Okoro was there for Signature TV.
In his address, Governor Mba, who was represented by the Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, Ugochi Madueke, described the event as a true reflection of history, unity, creativity, and innovation. He emphasized the significance of arts in the life of the youth, stating that apart from bringing out the skills and creativity in them, it also helps to address some economic and social issues. Mba assured the commitment of the state government in supporting LINCAF in the initiative to promote creativity among the youths.
This event is a celebration of our shared values, a showcase of our creativity, and a profound reminder of our collective humanity, which fittingly serves as this year's theme. In the past days, we have seen artists, especially our young talents, expressing their thoughts, dreams, and challenges through their art. They have taken us on a journey into the heart of our communities, showcasing stories of resilience, empathy, and the bonds that hold us together.
The royal father of the day and Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Nnameka Achebe, called for the establishment of public museums across the states in view of the place of arts in nation building.
How much idea that the government can generate from the museum? And I said to him, do a research on the British museums and museums all over the world. It is the government that sponsors these funds into museums and art galleries for the education and the enlightenment and the enjoyment of the people, of the country, society. And indeed, the development and sophistication of any society in the world can be well measured by the level of the appreciation, the creation and appreciation of the arts.
The regional director of the Ford Foundation in West Africa, Dr. Chichi Anyagolo, described the artist as a custodian, convener, and interpreter of culture. Art, according to her, remains a viable instrument for the advancement of social justice and human rights.
I am a big lover of art, and I love the art not just for its beauty and entertainment, but because art is also the custodian, conveyor, and interpreter of culture. The argument that ancient Egyptians were black people was because of the art. It was the art that depicted the race of the different people who ruled and lived in Egypt. And as a result, we can make bold to say that ancient Egypt was Africa. Art is also a vehicle for imagining and inventing the future. It is art. Many people say that art is the imitator of life, but I could also say that life also invents the future, invents and reinvents and helps us imagine what the future can look like.
A participant at the event, Dr. Obiora Anide and Ngozi Agujiobi, a civil servant, appreciated LINCAF for its initiative, which they said promotes creativity in youths.
They don't teach you how to make a difference. That you have to develop yourself or learn from a mentor, from a model. That's what we're doing.
Everything that wants to thrive always have the support of the government.
the recipients of the Young Artist Award, Adebayo Sheun, expressed gratitude to the organizers and assured that he will make Linka proud.
That university is like the strongest backbone for young artists in Nigeria. In fact, more than the National Gallery in Nigeria, because they've been so consistent in helping Nigerian artists.
LINCAF has over the years been able to provide the youths and budding artists a platform to express their thoughts, feelings, and creativity. In Enugu, David Okoro for Signature TV News.
Signature TV. And our big story for today is the just concluded grand finale of Actima City Festival organized by LINCAF. And with me in the studio are two wonderful reporters who followed up this event up to the final stage. I have Chinemerem Ikebunam in the studio and also David Okoro with me. I'm going to start with Chinemerem, who has been following the story from the beginning up until the lecture day. So Chinemerem, I understand that there was an outreach to persons with disability, also art competition for secondary school students. Can you just run us over these activities?
Okay, thank you very much, and happy Sunday to you. Okay. Life in My City started as of 2007, and this is the 7th edition. We just concluded the 7th edition of Life in My City. Yes, COVID took a year. Okay. It would have been the 18th edition. This is the 17th edition, rather. Okay. It would have been the 18th edition. COVID took a year. Now, Life in My City started, I think, beginning of this year. I started covering from July. Yes, 11 July to be precise, when I went for a workshop organized by LINCAF to train students living with disabilities, special kids, on art. And you know, art is a kind of expression. Art is life, art is culture, art is language, art is everything. So you can imagine when I was asking one of the organizers, and he said it's more like a new introduction to the scheme, like an initiative. So when I was asking him, he said why they brought up the issue, as in brought up the considered looking at kids with disabilities, was because they felt art will help build them, build their thinking, you know, their ability and the rest. And yes, I also had a conversation with some of these wonderful kids, okay, and come and see what they were doing with art.
All right, so can you just give us one of just your conversation with the kids with disabilities? What did you find? How did you feel about this new opportunity that came their way?
Like I said art, they used art to express themselves. Like a kid was actually drawing "I love you" and was given to me, and it was so emotional because you know, seeing somebody use art to, you know, to talk, to express himself, and he was actually dumb, deaf, but he was using art to represent, you know, to express his feelings. So aside it, LINCAF also organized this training for workshop training for students, also secondary school students and the rest. Okay. Then before they went into this art exhibition thing, I covered, yes, I was able to cover from the workshop to the exhibition, and it was wonderful.
All right, let me get back to David. David, you were there for us at the grand finale of this festival. Can you please tell us what happened yesterday from the beginning to the end?
All right, thank you very much, and happy Sunday to you. As at yesterday, the LINCAF event was quite an amazing one. The event was all about the recognition of young talents, you know, drawn across the 36 states of the Federation.
Oh, wow.
To recognize them and as well appreciate them for the outstanding performance they have put across in artistic world, if I may use that very word. So yesterday happens to be the grand finale, and a good number of them were awarded.
Okay. Please, can you just run us through the lineup, like the activities for yesterday, the first event, the second, and this cultural display? Were there any special activity that marked yesterday?
All right. Thank you very much. As at yesterday, there wasn't much activities that actually marks that event. But then I think one of them that was that significant was the cultural arts display and the award ceremony that were given to some of the young, talented young ones that actually came there for the events that were awarded. I think that
please, just be a bit detailed. We want to know what award was given to who and under which category, so that we get to understand how these participants were appreciated. Well, if you have that information.
I think I was actually excited with that of Adesuwa, the guy that won the award. I saw how he was able to express himself. He said, there's something about going into act and you're seeing the reward. And he wants to do it. He wants to continue it. I think we youths should actually go into act. Is actually innovative. The way he was expressing himself was, it's kudos. Like, it gave him much courage to go further. What my question is now, the exhibitions, because I was asking one of the organizers, the exhibitions, what are they going to do with it? Do you get? Are they going to sell them? These are people's artworks, or are they giving it back to the artists? Do you get? Because those are wonderful exhibitions. Yes. Those are really wonderful, mind-blowing exhibitions.
We're running short of time, so we wouldn't talk much. But that was such a wonderful event as we witnessed in the report. Beautiful art pieces by different youngsters who are trying their hands in the world of creativity. And as we all know, art is a form of expressing oneself. The mystery of life is often hidden in this artistic piece that people put out there, and that's the much we can take for this edition. Don't forget, we brought you stories across the nation from our wonderful set of journalists and colleagues of mine across the nation. I remain Emmanuel Tewasi, and until we come your way next week, bye for now. Stay focused, stay engaged, and be informed.
It's been another beautiful day. This is the 27th day in the month of October, and it is Sunday, and I say a very happy Sunday to you. I wanted to say happy birthday, of course, to everyone who is celebrating their birthday today. You know how we do it. This is the new day on Signature TV, and this morning we'll be bringing you the newspaper headlines, newspaper review, and every other thing you need to watch for your pleasure this morning. My name is Belinda Mwobodo, and with me is
Joshua Oritogun. Wonderful to have you with us this morning. Don't forget to go to all of our social media platforms. We're live in Facebook and YouTube. You can as well drop your comment and opinion on conversations we'll be having, because this is we giving voice to the voiceless. We're going to be going on a very short break. When we come back, we'll start with the newspaper headline. First in our dailies this morning is the Sunday Punch, and just below the mast we have 10,000 marketers may shut down over massive drop and high costs. With the rider, many petrol stations cannot buy one truckload, and this is coming from Nopeng.
12 governors pardon 1,780 inmates to decongest prisons.
Still on the Sunday Punch, we have just above the mast, Bobrisky to face fresh criminal charges as panel indicts 4 prison officers.
Sack more ministers and Dume tells Tinubu.
And on a very sad note, many feared dead in Abuja building collapse.
Ogun assures residents as memo hint of terror attack.
Nigerians excited after Libya forfeits 3 points and fined $50,000.
Hardship: 50% of private hospitals have closed down, says Doctors Guide's president.
Why I attempted suicide 3 times, coming from the retired African church canon.
That's all we can take from the Sunday Punch. Let's take a look at the Sunday Vanguard newspapers this morning. Japa sweeps Nigerians' hospitals, with the rider hard hit authorities hire old retired doctors, others workers. Medical Guide, Lasuth, CMD speak on hiring policy.
And just above the mass, we have Wike versus Atiku. Fresh moves to sack Damango begin.
Inflation, why we are careful about lowering rates. That's from Kadoso.
40 fear trapped in Abuja building collapse.
Tinubu's establishment of Regional Development Ministry will strengthen local government autonomy. That's from Oralusi.
And Elumelu co-chairs new African summit at Saudi Arabia Investment Initiative.
Releasing Nnamdi Kanu now, Igbo press Tinubu at Iwayawo's funeral.
80-year-old woman killed in Abeokuta fire.
40 feared trapped in Abuja building collapse.
And that is the much we can take on the Sunday Vanguard. Moving over to The Nation. AFCON qualifiers, CAF awards Nigeria 3 points, imposes 50,000 naira fine on Libya, with the rider North Africans to appeal.
That's $50,000 fine on Libya. Right, still on The Nation, plots to draft David Mark for PDP chairman fails, with the rider count me out of party's internal crisis, says Atiku.
Commonwealth leaders defy UK, agree to discuss reparations, and with the rider, Tinubu congratulates Ghana's new Secretary General of Organization.
Edun, Tinubu's economic reforms yielding positive fruit.
Inciting military intervention unacceptable, Presidency warns The Guardian.
40 persons trapped as building collapses in Abuja.
And finally, on The Nation, we have search for victims of helicopter crash ongoing, says NSIB, with the rider. Agency secures diving perimeters for wreckage location, explains why ill-fated helicopter went down.
Moving ahead to the Sunday Tribune this morning, Northern senators expressed worries over blackouts in Kano, Katsina, Jigawa, where the rider Atiku calls for urgent reforms to end electricity crisis.
Federal government announces plan to engage 93,731 unskilled, unemployed youths, with the rider NCDF applauds Tinubu for establishing regional development.
Just so for 2027, North in dilemma over best candidates to challenge Tinubu, with the rider Northern leaders scout for acceptable politician from Southwest, line up likely Northerners as running mate.
UK hospital sets to use superhuman AI death calculator that will tell patients when they are going to die.
20 days to ENUGU. Parties intensify campaign for election. APC, PDP, Labour express optimism of winning.
Elumelu to co-chair new African summit in Saudi Arabia.
You have justified people's mandate with performance. Group hails Oyebanji.
20 days to ENUGU. Parties intensify campaign for election, with rider APC, PDP, Labour express optimism of winning.
Ocean government plans security meeting over clash between police, civil defense corps.
Finally, on the Sunday Tribune, lady found dead on roadside after visiting man she met on dating site.
On the These Day newspapers this morning, at 696.88 billion naira, foreign investors' transactions in Nigeria stock market highest since 2018.
Cardoso, CBN confident of attracting $12 billion diaspora inflows in 365 days, where the rider says Apex Bank working assiduously to get Nigeria out of the grey list. Tinubu's bold reforms yielding results, Edu insists.
NMPP wins all 44 local government chairmanship positions, 484 councillorship seats in Kano.
Ending security in Northwest now. Tinubu charges military defense minister tours theaters of operations.
Ekong excited as CAF awards Nigeria 3 points, fines Libya $50,000.
And that's the much we can take on the newspaper headlines. We will be moving over to the newspaper review. And in the studio with us is Chris Maduka. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Joshua. Good morning, Belinda.
How are
you? We thank God for His mercy.
Okay, so let's...
To wake up in Nigeria is one of the things I want to pray and thank God for whenever it happens, because it's a miracle to sleep and wake up in Nigeria.
Very interesting. So on Sunday Vanguard, beg your pardon, on Sunday Vanguard we have Japa sweep Nigerians hospital, where the rider had hit authorities, hire old, retired doctors and other workers. I mean, first of all, our hospitals are getting dried, and the only solution they could come up with is to hire retired doctors and old workers. How do you react to this?
It's an understatement. We say Japa sweeps. Japa syndrome has cleaned up Nigerian medical system, and the data are there. If not anything, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics will tell you how many medical personnel and medical-related personnel has left this country in the last 10 years. Now we are even talking about that we do not have enough, because Nigeria's population is growing by day. We are one of the fastest growing nation in the world. And the worst thing is that you don't have, I can't remember exactly the number of medical doctors the number of patients per doctor that is recommended by World Health Organization as appropriate. And now in Nigeria, we do not have, I made bold to say we do not have 5 million people to a doctor. And when we are talking about doctor, we are not talking about the quacks that have filled everywhere. Anybody who Nigeria has taken pain to train to be a doctor, a qualified doctor, has left the shores of Nigeria. And this is what the Nigerian government will watch, and they're not doing anything. The worst come to worst, they find resident doctors every time threatening to go on strike. Some of them go on strike 3 months, 4 months before they even come back, meaning they are not wanted. And there's one thing about nature, and the lecturer told me, he said, I can only work and give my best where it is appreciated. So you don't, Nigerians have a way of, somebody was analyzing it, I saw a viral video of a South African analyzing what is hit Nigeria. Nigerians spend money to train their own from nursery school. You know how many years we spend money to train our people from nursery to university? Not talk about medical personnel who their training takes longer time with money and logistics of monumental capacity and things that involve energy and sacrifice the Nigerian parents will put to train these people. And the idea is that you have spent this money to train them, then you just allow them fizzle away to go and develop another country. And you are still running around here looking for what is happening to you, and you have not found out your problem. Japa has cleaned up Nigerian medical system. It's beginning to clean up others. It's just that this health system is the only thing that Nigeria can easily see. Everybody wake up in the morning and see. You see, in Nigeria, as we stay, just pray to God you do not fall sick. If you fall sick in this present nation, that's when you realize how bad our situation is in Nigeria. It's not that you don't have money to access the medical treatment. You don't even have qualified medical people to treat you. And that's how Nigeria has, you know what it means? To go and wash your hand with the disinfectant, to go and break pan kernel for chicken. That's the way to describe Nigeria's situation. We wash our hands clean with every detergent and all the disinfectant, only to go to use it to break pan kernel for chicken. That's what we do. We train our own, allow them go, and we think we are doing ourselves favor. What can you do, I keep asking, for your girlfriend's son to call you papa? Whatever, some of them will suffer with this number of years to get qualified. When they even jump out to other Europe or America, they start all over in humiliation because they are not citizens, and they will always put it to your face with rest season and other things that go with it to tell you you have just come as a beggar. And then, you know, he who goes abo goes as so. Is a saying, who goes a borrowing goes a sorrowing. You go to somebody's house, you can never. A chicken that is bought newly into a household will always stand with one leg. That's what you find these our trained medical doctors in Nigeria begging to go and deliver their services to this nation for free, almost for free. For free, for peanuts. And they were here running around because the people who are in power can afford to go to India to treat themselves. At slightest opportunity, they will fly out to go and treat themselves, and they leave us here with this quagmire. And you think we pray for better prayer for them? And when I say it, people think they have clearly and clearly put us in deep shit. I'm sorry to use the word, but that's what we are. People are dying of hunger.
They are dying of sickness. They don't have access to anything. And we say we are Nigerians. Woe to any nation that will allow their citizens go through this and expect them to give the best. We have returned back to state of nature, where everybody is on his own. People pray, do anything, kill, sacrifice, go to juju doctors to get to positions of authority. And it's like, once they get there, they give you that greeting that a man who has come to your house with a bicycle, when he wants to go, he will always show you the backside. Then, and that's it. That's what our politicians are doing to us. Waiting for us. Every 4 years, the 4th year, they come back, promise us, try, and because they are weaponized poverty, I will do this, we'll do this, that's the end. And share little things they've stolen from our national commonwealth, and come and get back to their position. And they have made sure everything you are talking about, reform, governance reform and all, they will sit down on it because it favors them. Some of them are National Assembly for running to 24 years. Let them come out, write their memos and do documentaries on their achievements. And they will forget them and they will talking about other people's fault. Nigerians are fantastically corrupt. And you Nigerians, whatever you're getting, you take. Because every nation gets what they want at any particular time. No complaint. If anybody die, we bury him. And if those people who are even lucky to find people who bury them. Yesterday, somebody was telling me that some people can't travel from their city to go for burials in the villages. So when even their close relatives die, they can't go because they can't afford transport. So those things are coming to fruition that is predicted in the Bible, that days will come, even the dead will bury themselves because of hardship. But then it's war to a nation that these biblical and holy book prophecies are fulfilling on their head. Good luck to you, Nigerians. So it's not about sweep. It's not about sweeping. It has cleaned up. No need to talk about it second time. And we see, go to medical centers, go around. You're talking about places like capital of states like ENUGU, where you are staying. Go a little interior and see beautiful facilities, built with money. Some of them are grown with weeds. You see the facilities that are rotting. Nobody, medical people don't even go there. They don't even remember they exist. Now this leg, now I go reach Umuahia. I beg you, leave matter for matters, let's move on. These Nigerian issues, we'll be talking about it. It's unfortunate you started with that. Sweeping car, cleaning knee. There is no health situation. We don't have it, it's collapsed. And under the watch of our ministers of health and SS in health, we have commissioners of health at the state level. Even now that some local government at the winner takes it all, they have councillors for health. So all of them will be there looking at collapsed system and will be bothering about buying fuel at 1,400 to survive a night a day. You think we are living? Leave Matajare, let's go. Yesterday was Saturday Tribune that said Kwashiorkor has returned back to Nigeria. We couldn't review it. Kwashiorkor. And for you Gen Z people, we do not know what Kwashiorkor is. But some of us that were so small during the Civil War, we tell you what Kwashiorkor is. Severe, acute malnutrition. And when it gets to that level where you see a Kwashiorkor patient and it affects children more, you will cry when it has returned to Nigeria. That will tell you. Nobody is saying anything. Well, what Kwashiorkor now? Somebody somewhere won't do anything. Very soon they will send us vaccine for Kwashiorkor. Somebody will be working on getting vaccine for Kwashiorkor so that they just do as if they do juju to Nigeria. So you don't spend. When they see a little money in your hand, they will come and give you proposal. proposal you spend. God help Nigeria. Let's move on, Jare. I know prison decongestion. It's a 1,780 inmates. At Punch has said it. Has been pardoned. I don't know for how long this has happened, but 12 governors pardoned 1,780. I'm happy at the pardon. It happens once in a while during celebration that whoever is in a position of authority will have cause to say, go home, you have been pardoned, but don't return back to your sins. But here, they are pardoning these prisoners because of to decongest.
Prison.
That's where I am stuck. You are not pardoning these people because you want to show them that they have shown good, lived well. There's a way they do when they are paroled in the prisons. They watch you, how good you have been. And then now it's Nigeria correctional system. You call them inmates and no more prisons so that they don't get stigmatized. Now they watch you, the correction on your character and attitude about life, and they find out that you have been corrected. Somebody will recommend that you can be. So when a governor is coming to look for those to pardon, you'll be among the list who will say, this place has corrected me. But 1,780 people has been released back into the system because they want to decongest the prisons. Not because they didn't give, that will tell you. And this is true. Because if it was another reason, they say to decongest. It brought another thing to the mind. How many Nigerians that are put in the correctional centers? When I was working for a prisoner rehabilitation and welfare organization, they call them PRAWA, as a communication expert. The PRAWA organization was doing so much we went to a prison in Oji River. One small prison built in a modern way, you know. It's transparent. If you're looking at it, you see everything that happens in prison. Unlike where they have all these. When we got there were over 200 people. To tell you the first, the prison was built to accommodate about 300 people who are serving their own time comfortably. But they had over 5,000 people stuck in one prison yard that's supposed to hold about 300 people. And about few of them are doing their full time. Then they know when they have entered, when they will go. The others, just do the mathematics, are awaiting trial, ATM. And they translate it in modern Nigerian language. Automatic teller machine. For the prison officials, you keep ATM people, awaiting trials in prison, and the budget to feed them comes from the same source. One of the days on this seat, we were saying that they increased the feeding for prisoners, and that includes the ATM people, which is an anathema. Somebody is not to be on ATM for that long, because you decide whether, so that the person know when you are going to the prison and know when you serve out your terms and go. But some people, what pained me and the story I want to tell, a boy stole 2 crates of minerals at 9th Mile in ENUGU and was caught. They do their GBT and the police and in the court, the next thing in the prison. And nobody knew he was there again. For 12 years.
12 years.
Ordinarily, this kind of offense, if you look through deeply, the lawyers will tell us, is not supposed to attract more than 6 months, highest, or with fine. Somebody spending even his papers. They were looking for him, nothing to trace him. He doesn't even can remember the way to his village. So when you go as a non-government organization to do what they call prison liberation, where you move both the judiciary and all the process, they move to prison to do that. They start bringing them out, asking them questions. That's when you cry for Nigeria. Some of them had been there for little things as stealing crates of mineral for years awaiting trial. They don't have access to pro bono lawyers who will go and stand for them in court. The prison that put them there do not take them to prisons to be heard, at least to be convicted and or otherwise set free. They are there eating from the Nigerian system. So imagine, let me give you an example of the corrupt situation. If government of Nigeria has said 1,000 naira per prisoner, before it pass through the bureaucracy of contracts that will be awarded by the Controller General of Police Nigeria from Abuja before it trickles down to 36 state controllers of prisons in the states, and all the contractors that will go, the prisoners might not get up to 1 naira. So you see the food that's served, you will know that Nigeria is closer to hell. What they're giving to prisoners. So when this kind of thing happen in prison, they say the congestion and all. Well, I am happy. The congestion good for the reason I am suspect. For the reason why you are decongesting. If it is that you work with the prison authority, the correctional center authority, and they are profiling the prisoner, the inmates, to find out how they have changed and how the system has corrected them, and you are releasing them into the society, fine. Because you cannot have water in your mouth and you are blowing fire. At that point, you don't have to work. I don't want to use my other proverb of using pepper to cure madness, because if you say you want to release some inmates and you release them into the society worse than they left the society, in Alwana, what have you done? You have only added more to the hunger hardship situation we are in. That's why we have more and more multiply effect of criminals, and the government will indirectly or directly doing this without knowing, and that's my fear, and that's it.
All right, Chris, before you move
10,000
on,
marketers.
Yes, that's where I'm going
May
to.
shut down over massive.
Yes, that many petrol stations cannot buy 1 truckload. So, of course, this is a final one, a headline we'll be able to take because of time. So,
no, beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, at least with this. And what was I recommending here? Why are they wasting time? Put 1 liter of fuel at 10,000 naira. So that these ones you will sell and go and buy back. Isn't that what all these things are? You don't know what these things are going through. We're not worried how many people are driving cars. Close down all the filling stations, turn them into industries. What do you need to be selling fuel if you can't afford it? Change the business. What is the lamentation? And the marketers lament with this lamentation over Nigeria fuel and gas oil they cannot afford. And you remain there to do what? Who are you lamenting for? If 10,000, as at this morning, the next morning it was 20,000, 100,000, and marketers cannot afford to buy from the refineries. Shut down. Let every man, the ones who can afford buy fuel and go. They can even use governors have a depot in their governing houses. They go directly buy and dump and they're driving around in their convoy. We'll be trekking. The presidency have depot. All the big men, they have depot. So why bother about Nigerians? Put the price so that every filling station that we even afford to buy at 1,004 collapses. Then Nigeria comes to a standstill. Only the ones who can afford it. What is the problem? I don't have any sympathy with any market. If you cannot buy at the price they're selling, and you think Nigeria cannot buy from you when you buy from them, change business. Good luck to Nigerians.
Thank you very much, Chris. This has been very, very interesting. But before you close up finally, sack more ministers, Ndume is telling Tinubu. Ndume has been one who has been vocal, but in as much as he has been vocal, he will always come back and say he's apologizing to the president. Do you think, as you would say, a politicking?
I don't see politicking. Let more National Assembly members, senators, distinguished senators talk and apologize later.
But is there even effect
by keeping
to
quiet?
What they say?
I don't know why is Nigerians always translating
This may have come to this man's mind as something he felt. Why singling out 5 ministers and dropping them? Has Nigeria changed? Or do you have possibility that things will become miraculously changed within a short time? Because what we see, you have a coach in our Jagaban, our presidency, and you have 11 players that you have to feature at any time as the coach, the technical manager. It's always better for you to come out with clean teams for a new trial. If it's along the match they've played 90 minutes and they have extra time because of lag and all, you now say, let me bring somebody, go and rest. It's understandable. At this point, what we expect is that we are entering into a new era of match. Change the teams totally. So I am speaking with Ndume, and I support Ndume, and I say, change the team totally. Because the change you have done, as far as we are concerned as Nigerians, looks negligent and might be so minor and minute to make effect on whatever you think you want to achieve. But you see, you are the president of Nigeria, you see clearer, the view is clearer from where you are looking at. We are only advising. You are free to either take or leave. But we say, if you ask us, well, for how many, 480 something days, you should have changed the entire thing. Because some of them are relaxed. I've said it several times. They're all relaxing, hiding under the presidency. Everything but say Tinubu, Tinubu, Tinubu. It's not only Tinubu that is governing Nigeria. You have the ministers, you have the governors, you have the National Assembly. Everyone must share from this blame. Because, as my people talk, when the human physics hit the ceiling fan that is rotating, everybody in that room must get a feeling of it. If you don't touch you go hear them, you go smell them. So, why are they relaxed? All those ones you left behind now, will go start doing Thanksgiving there. But they've not done, I don't see any of the ministries that will come out with that clean slate of highly scored results. You know, when they come with their scorecard, they say, this particular ministry has made it 80, 90, 75, all those A-level, A marks. I don't see. Because if they see we Nigerians, we feel that aspect. At least somebody will look at and say, yeah, this aspect we have made. But that's my feeling on that. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chris, for your time this morning. All right, that's the most we can take for the review, and we'll be moving ahead to another segment. You don't go anywhere. Stick around.
Hello and welcome to Rebound on Signature Television. I am Godwin Sunday. Here is the Rebound for the week. On Monday, we interviewed Jude Ilo on his recently published work, I Am, It Is Impossible Influencing Change in Nigeria. Take a look.
People understand the concept of change in various ways, but I think he captures it moving from one point to another. It doesn't necessarily have to be forward, it could also be backwards. So I think the universe is a constant flow of change, so to say, because nothing remains the same. So I do agree with him to the extent that it's about going from one point to another point. But of course, in the context of the work we do, it is about going from one point to a better point.
It has to be better for it to be change.
It has to be better for it to be good change.
Good, because because I also know that some people walk back.
Yes, yes.
Is a kind of change, but a negative change. So you came out with this book, It Is Possible, Influencing Change in Nigeria. What informed your decision, to come out with a book like this?
It's a product of frustration. So
frustration?
Yes.
How do you mean?
Yes. So that's the interesting part. So the reality is that working in this space of the development space and working in a place like Nigeria or in Africa, and over the years trying to see how we can get reforms to happen, how we get government to behave differently, how we get the lives of people to be better, there is a general sense of frustration that comes with it, because it looks like the more you put in, the more the sad stories come out. So in my head, I was also at the point where I was wondering, was it all worth it? What are we actually doing? Because the people, the communities that we serve don't appear to be better off than they were when we started. And so I started having this internal debate in my head, where it was like a kind of a debate between despondency and optimism. But it also allowed me to look at what has happened over the years, what has worked, what has not worked. And it became clear to me that there are a lot of positives that we can actually look at. And of course, there are negatives. But the negatives do not suggest that change is impossible. It rather suggests to me that change is difficult. The positives then suggest to me that change is possible, because if in little corners it can happen, then of course it can go up in big waves. So that is on a personal level. But of course there were other external circumstances that gave rise to this book. One was the conversation I had about Ford Foundation in West Africa, when they were doing their strategic New Year strategy session, and they said, we want to interrogate how we can better use our funding to ensure change. And as part of that conversation, I facilitated a session for them where we looked at a number of case studies just to see how movements were successful or how programs were successful and the ones that were not successful. And when we finished, it was such an illuminating exercise that they felt their grantees and their partners needed to be part of that kind of thinking process, just to re-examine and reflect on the work they've been doing. And so we had a kind of a country-wide engagement with roughly about 50 to 60 CEOs, leaders of NGOs across the country, asking the question, how does change happen and how can you make it happen? So from all of that and my own personal research and my own personal debates, I felt there was something to share. And I didn't want to do it in a technical way. So hence the primer. So something that is introductory, basic, sharing some of those ideas and inviting people to start reflecting a bit more on the strategic impact of the work they do, rather than just the immediate output or immediate gratification, so to say. So I'm a trained lawyer, and the biggest grief you can give me is to say that I write like a lawyer, because sometimes we write as lawyers and we don't communicate. And over the years, I've worked as an advocate, engaging with policymakers, the public, young people, old people. And if there's something I've learned, is that anything you can't explain to a 10-year-old, you're doing a terribly bad job in communication. Secondly, I don't like unnecessarily technical books, okay? Because the people who you want to apply this into their daily lives are just everyday people. So the idea was to make sure that any 10-year-old who picks up this book can read through it. Is to make sure that any expert who picks up this book will find something in it. So it was a tricky balance, but it does appear from the feedback we've received that we were able to achieve that, because we simply just told stories and analyzed those stories in a way that it is easy for everybody to get. The second thing again is that people are busy. We know that there are lots of literature out there, social media, all of those things. The target again is that in 3 hours, if you're waiting in an airport lobby, you can finish this book before you board your flight. If you're a kid, you come back from school in the evening, you can read 4 or 5 chapters before you go to sleep. So it's, yes, to your point, it's a very serious conversation. But it's also in the seriousness of that conversation that it dissuades people from getting involved in it because, oh, it's technical, it's change. And so by breaking it down and making it simple, we're also inviting people to embrace that interrogation of how change happens, but also in a way that is easy to read and to understand and to critique, because we also got some very good feedback from people who are saying, oh, but you should have said this, or I don't agree with this. Making sure that we have that conversation across the spectrum. Young, old, learned, unlearned, anybody can interact with the book.
On Tuesday, Kole Shetima left no stone unturned as he spoke about the 30th anniversary of the MacArthur Foundation. Take a look.
The foundation, which has its headquarters in Chicago, have been making grants into Nigeria to Nigerian organizations since 1986. And then in 1994, it decided to open an office, first of all in Ibadan in 94. And when the military exited Abuja, then we moved the office here to Abuja as show of our solidarity and support in our things. I think that first of all to say that it is worthwhile because the MacArthur Foundation believes in supporting Nigerians. So for example, when during the military period, when many organizations were running out of the country and closing or operating from outside of the country, actually that was the time that the MacArthur Foundation decided to open an office in Nigeria because many people thought that there was no need for them to be around because of the atrocities of the authoritarianism of the military regime at that time. And I think that our investment over the years have been in various aspects of our work. When we started in 94, our program was primarily around population and reproductive health. And even in that one, we were only focusing on supporting individuals who are doing great work in their own communities and supporting them to do a better work. So that was really the work that we are doing. Then eventually, I think we moved on to having a program in the Niger Delta, which at that time, as we all know, was a hotbed of Nigeria because of all the activities of oil companies and the restive communities and a number of the exploitative activities happening in the Niger Delta at that time. So we started a program on the Niger Delta. From there, then, we had a full-blown human rights program, which was much more expanded in order to support all the human rights groups and organizations that have been working and campaigning for democracy in the country. And then we had a higher education program at some point, which is to support, Nigerian universities at that time. And that lasted for about 12, 13 years. And then we had a girls' secondary school education program also, which was also just supporting girls to go to school and others. But I think by 2015, I think the foundation decided to move on to another program, and that was the work we started doing around advancing accountability and reducing corruption in Nigeria. I will say that over the last 30 years plus of our physical presence in Nigeria, I think it has been a very, very productive and very, I think, worthwhile investment that the foundation has made on Nigeria, on Nigerians, in time to try to improve the quality of lives of Nigerians. Yeah, so what happened interestingly was that at that time, what we did was to do a public opinion poll and ask people, Nigerians, what is the most important thing that you think the foundation should do in Nigeria? Now, at that time, the first issue they said was insecurity in 2014, 2015. And if you remember, that was the height of Boko Haram atrocities across the country. It was not only limited to the northeast, but those of us who were in Abuja, we could remember not going to the mosques, not going to the church, not going into the offices and our things. So I could understand why people felt that fighting insecurity or supporting the fight against insecurity was the number one thing. But the number two thing they said was accountability. They said that, look, if we want to do anything in this country, we must fight corruption and we must advance accountability. So based on our own analysis of the situation, then we decided to take the second option that the Nigerian focused on, which was on anti-corruption and accountability. Now, when we say advancing accountability and reducing corruption, what does that mean really? So what we did in the first phase of the program, in the first phase of the program, were 7 things that we tried to do. One, we look at education sector. So we said, okay, in the education sector, one element of the work that we should do is how do we strengthen the UBEC fund? So you know that 2% of our funds actually goes to UBEC. It's our national budget, and that the aim was that we can use that money in order to improve basic education in the country. So we thought that, okay, how can we strengthen government institutions like UBEC at the national level as well as at the state level to be able to deliver on the mandate that they have been given by the government. But at the same time, we also support civil society groups and organizations and saying that, look, UBEC, let's say Y state, has developed a work plan, and the work plan says that we are going to build X number of schools, X number of this and that and that. Can you follow up and see whether those specifications are done or not? Or you go to your classroom, and the classroom is supposed to have X number of windows. This is the dimension of the windows. This is the ceiling and other things. Go and check whether the contractor, according to work, has complied with the work plan also. So we try to support both civil society organizations who do the monitoring of what is being done, as well as the UBEC system, so that the system can also deliver on its own. So our assumption is not to say that, oh, government people are bad people, that they are just chopping the money and other things. No, the first assumption is that every one of us wants to do good thing. How can we support people to do the good thing that they want to do? Now we also look at electricity, because we know that power, energy is critical in this country. So we said, okay, why don't we also look at the private sector? So and see how is this deregulation that has happened with all the electricity distribution company, how are they pairing? How are they doing? How are they ensuring that consumers get the services that not consumers but customers get what they deserve, what they paid for? How are we ensuring safety and the protection of the public in terms of the electricity system that we provide? So these are 3 elements. Now, then there are the 4 elements that have continued in 2.0. One of them is around the criminal justice system. So we thought, okay, how do we strengthen our administration of criminal justice system so that it becomes a little bit more functional and better, so that we don't have this like 20 years of delay of cases that happened, so that we don't have a system whereby the rich people will hire 30, 40 sons, and then they'll come to a magistrate who have just graduated from university, and then they'll come and intimidate that person with all their wigs and other things. So how do we make our system much more fairer and better so that justice is served on time to people and other things?
On Wednesday, Nigerian citizens cry out on over high electricity tariff and the collapse of the national grid. Take a look.
Increment of tariff is a very serious issue. This business I'm managing here now. Formerly, a tariff of 10,000 naira will sustain me 2 weeks and above. But a tariff of 10,000 naira now doesn't take me up to 4 days. If you can see the fridges now functioning, only 2 fridges functioning now, because I switch other ones off. Because immediately I on all the fridges, the tariff of 10,000 naira will not take me up to 2 days. It's affecting the business. The profit margin we are making in the business goes to the tariff.
It's affecting me badly because now that they've reduced everything to 4-point-something kilowatt per 1,000 naira, is really affecting me badly. Before, 5,000 naira will go a long way, like 2 weeks. But now, even 2 days have, it will be shaking. So it's affecting me badly.
Me personally, it's very hard on me because I can't use most of my equipment at home, like especially my cooker. If I want to cook, like I had to wait till I was able to buy like charcoal because I can't use light anymore. I can't iron my dress, I can't iron my uniform, nothing at all. So like the increment is really hard. Mostly on me. I don't know about other, but me, yeah, it's very hard. And I believe I'm not just the only one. It's affecting everybody. Because if it's only me, I was okay, let me try someone else. But because it's affecting me, I believe that there are so many people too under the kind of my categories that is also affecting. So the increment is way too much. So if the government should please help us to bring down not just the tariff and everything happening in the society, is way bigger than us.
Let me start with the business. Okay, I can remember when we do like 5,000 and it will last for a month, almost a month. But now 5,000 naira is not going anywhere. Like most at times you have to off some things. Like now our fan is currently off. The two iron, one is off and one is on because we are managing the meter. Even in my house is like I used to manage some things at home. I really don't own everything at the same time. It's either I'm making use of the fridge and my iron is not on. Maybe the iron is on, the light bulb is not on, and the rest of it. That's how I used to manage it. So the price is really not going to my budget. It's way too much.
The worst thing where government will do for adding money, putting another tariff on top of the one where they pay. That's what they do for fuel also, because this thing where they see now, as they don't add this one, they plan to add another one, and that another one where they add, they go see add another one. Now so they go add. The country go see collapse because people where they inside the country are not happy. Everybody they vex. There won't be say people there for the country where they pay the money, but now we where they inside the suffer land. You know, poor masses. Now we be the poor masses where they talk about. So now we the suffer land. But anyway, no problem. We thank God for that.
It's really affecting because as I'm a fashion designer, and in terms of current, the current is not even good enough to carry my machines. And in terms of the machines we use, it's not able to carry. Sometimes we have to off some machines so that it can reach the other machine to use, and all those things. You know, based on the economy of the situation of Nigeria now, we have to work hard to gain more profit and income. So by the time the electricity is no more there, or it's not giving us what we want to gain the profit we want, it's going to affect us very, very well. So I will wish and appeal that we do something concerning the electricity.
On Thursday, the FCT resident decried Tinubu's position on PMS CNG's purchase. Take a look.
You know, at times we are not serious. He said the CNG, but you find there's a lot of critical conditions or a lot of rules that governments cannot take it, cannot beat the target. So the truth of the picture is that let him draw back like how Jonathan did. I don't care about subsidy. I don't benefit subsidy. I don't know who benefits subsidy. But let the administration of Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu touch the life of the common man so that he can leave a good legacy. In the day of judgment, he will answer yes or no to the God. But if they continue with this administration, I don't think that they are going to paradise.
Like everything in Nigeria. At first, maybe when we started using, before we started with kerosene, they say we should go to gas. Gas is way cheaper. But we could all see what is happening now with the cooking gas. The same thing I'm feeling will happen to the CNG. Yes, you understand. Maybe 1 year, 2 years, we'll be buying very, very cheap. Then along the line, everything skyrockets, just as everything in Nigeria does. So, and if you check the amount it takes for you to convert your car from petrol to CNG, to me, I don't think it's worth it, because the Nigeria factor will definitely happen to it. If they say 200 naira for now, what will happen? Can they sustain it for a very long time? They're not certain about that. So, to me, I don't see any need for it. Maybe they're just trying to push us to the CNG, then from there they hit us again.
I prefer the CNG to the fuel, because how can you be buying a fuel of 1,000
1,200 for a liter. You understand? 1,200 per liter. Then even like we now that is doing this taxi work, if you buy fuel of 1,200, at times for you to even make your money, if you buy fuel of 10,000 naira, before you make that money from passengers, you pay by the grace of God. You understand? So that is it. And as you are driving, some other things are happening to your car. Just imagine like a tire now. You understand? You have some things that you have to go to motor parts and buy. So that is the problem. And everything are increasing every day. So if they can convert, if they can make it available, that CNG from 200, 150, 100,000, I think it's preferable.
A lot. And people have been crying every day. I think our president will listen and do something. This country would have been better by now. But our president does not want to listen to us. He just wants to do what is in his mind to do. We don't have anything to do. We leave everything in the hands of God. God will sustain the poor. And God has been there for us, and He will continue to be there for us.
I'm begging the federal government, the president, to come to the aid of the Nigerians. If he has any way that is feed that I wish that is better, please let them try and implement it, because people are suffering. Once the fuel price goes high, many of the commodities will also influence. We are highly in inflation time now. Just like if there is a place there is a war, that is what, see if there is a war. So war caused this kind of inflation, but there is no war. So each should try possible to bring down the cost of things down. And this fuel thing is one of the things we produce by ourselves. So, and I think we should work with Dangote and other things so that the price can be better.
On Friday, we spoke about cabinet reshuffle and President Bola Tinubu's position on it. Take a look.
I do not think the timing is right, because it's just like they say that Rome was not built in a day. You've given someone a mandate, a responsibility. I think the person should also be given the proper infrastructures, the enabling ground for that project to strive. You know, it's just like when you have a newborn baby. The baby doesn't just start running in a day. You know, there are stages. You have to crawl, you have to, you know, sit, crawl before you start walking. So I think it's actually quite too early to start appraising, you know, some of this ministry by the way it turned out. That's what I think. I think it's not the right time. I think the timing is not right for me. Although some people think that the timing is right because they believe that they should have done more. They expected to have seen more, you know, in terms of the changes, the transformation, the innovation, and the economic impact that these people that were brought into these ministries are supposed to have created. So some people feel they don't see that. But when you see someone who has a passion, you see the person building. You don't just stop a building halfway. And then, for me, I don't think the timing is right for the tourism, especially for the tourism industry, which is the part that I am more interested in. Of course, there are the elements that we can actually use is some of these elements that we are fighting for: culture, tourism, education. These are the angles, these are the aspects that we can actually use to build unity in diversity. By the time you educate people about unity, let them know the integrities of unity, the reasons why we have to live together as one, the reason why we have to be united, with the profits that being united can bring to us as a country, then people will have a mindset, you know, the right mindset now, and then there will be that attitudinal change, you know, in character that will make people understand that the next person is my brother. I have to share. I have to belong in the same social group. I don't have to discriminate. So when those things start happening, then we'll start getting it right. Another thing is tourism. That's one way of promoting unity. By the time you start moving people from one place to the other, you start exposing them to how other cultures are played. They get to learn about these people, get to learn about their culture. They'll be able to accept these people the way they are. Do you understand? Then that fight of no, it shouldn't be this way, will not be there. You understand the person, and then you can, you know, work together in the same space, knowing that each person is unique in their own way. Not just because you want to tolerate them. No, you're not tolerating. You have to live in harmony together as one. So that is tourism. Then using cultural exchange, having all these festivals and things that make us go out to different communities to see what the community have to offer. Those are the things: cultural festivals, events and seminars, symposiums and all that. These are the things that we use to build unity in diversity, especially the cultural festival, where you have different people coming in to display their different culture. You see the richness, you see the uniqueness, you get to understand them better. I think what we lack in this country is the understanding. When you understand people better, then you'll be able to, you know how to approach them, you know how to talk to them, you know how to be with them, you know how to live with them. So that's actually what we need in Nigeria.
On Saturday, Achari Okam spoke about women in business. Take a look.
I got to realize that modeling was seen as, first of all, high-class prostitution. And it wasn't something that I wanted to be associated with, because once I introduced myself as a model to someone I was having a real conversation with, this human, after really having conversation, great conversation, and I was like, yeah, I'm a model. And he just put his hand right on my lap. It was, wow. I'm like, what gave you that audacity to do that? And being in that space, I felt, okay, there's a need to change people's orientation about models. That was one of the drive. And then when
All right, we're glad to have you back. This is the new day on Signature Morning or on Signature TV, and we'll be, moving ahead to another discussion. We'll be talking about the pediatric health in Nigeria. And joining us this morning is Dr. Obinna Chukwebuka Nduagobam. I hope I get that right. Yes, the senior lecturer and consultant pediatrician. Good morning and welcome, doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning,
viewers.
All right, so we're talking about pediatric health in Nigeria. How would you assess the current state of pediatrics in Nigeria now?
Well, that's for me. That's a very big question. The assessment will go in different directions. Depends on what the eye of the viewer. I wouldn't say we're doing badly with what we have at our disposal, because the scope of what a nation can do in terms of child health is dependent on what they have at their disposal. In terms of manpower, of course, a lot of our people are moving out, a lot of demand for our skills outside. And that means in terms of manpower development, in terms of numbers, we're not doing badly. But in terms of skills, rather, we're not doing badly. But in terms of the numbers of available skilled manpower, we're quite deficient. Okay, because of a lot of our skilled manpower is being pilfered. People are going out, so-called Japa syndrome. Okay, then coming down to available resources, equipment, okay, we're not also doing well in that angle. The world has moved way beyond where we are in terms of specialized aspects of pediatrics. Okay, we have our people that acquire the skills within and outside, and they don't have an enabling environment to actually put the skills to use. And so a good number of children that we should be able to save in our country, Nigeria, we're still battling with having to save them. Our intensive care for pediatrics still a very premature stage. Okay, you can count the number of hospitals that offer intensive care for pediatrics, for example. Also, our emergency pediatrics, yes, we're developing, but there are a lot of things that we don't have yet. And there are a lot of children that we should be able to save that we don't save. Then on the angle of preventive health, again, that is a lot of factors are in interplay. Okay, when you don't have adequate housing, you don't have good roads, you don't have electricity, you don't have potable water, all these things culminate into, poor preventive practices. And so we still have vaccine preventable diseases, we still have diseases that, we should be able to prevent in our country, still at the top list of the diseases that we have that kill our children in Nigeria. And these are unfortunate situations.
Amazingly, you've been able to cover the challenges and even some of the issues you are facing in this department. But I'd like to ask, you said it's that there are a lot of diseases affecting children. What is the most commonest that affects kids?
Well, commonly, even just like people tend to underrate, one of the commonest remains the malaria, the age-long malaria, which kills close to 500,000 children annually, globally.
Between the age of?
0 to 5.
Wow.
And then Nigeria contributes a huge percentage of these numbers. We contribute close to 30% of this figure.
How so?
And that is worrisome. Okay, and so you talk about other diseases, you know, cholera, pneumonia, okay, diarrhea diseases, okay, and then of course HIV, tuberculosis. These are common diseases that kill our children. And a good number of times, preventive measures are there that can reduce their numbers, okay, and then there are treatment modalities that are available and should be affordable so that we can reduce the death rates.
You said 30% are from...
More than, close to, more than 30% of the deaths recorded from malaria are attributed
to Nigeria.
To Nigeria, yes.
So what role, you know, you talked about vaccination before. What role do you think vaccination play in, you know, improving health, and how effective are Nigeria's immunization programs, you know, in terms of playing that role right now?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good one. Well, vaccines. In fact, vaccines are one of the foremost and the most impactful, development that has happened in the world of health. Okay, since the advent of vaccines in the world has been able to reduce death, morbidity, and mortality from vaccine-related diseases. You can go back years back when it was the era of smallpox, okay, and then all the other vaccine-preventable diseases that vaccines have helped us to significantly, drastically reduce their numbers in terms of the numbers that come down with them, and then the morbidity and mortality that occur, even for those that eventually come down with them. So vaccine is the single most important intervention that has happened in health worldwide. And so when we come down to vaccines generally, you know, the Nigerian schedule, which is the National Program on Immunization, you know, yes, a lot has happened, okay, a lot of vaccines are there, but there are also a lot of criticisms that have come up. Okay, one is the need for booster doses, because we've realized that some children will have the available doses within the schedule, the National Program Immunization schedule, and they still come down with the disease. Okay, that was what led to the second dose of measles. You know, usually first dose of measles is at 9 months.
Yes.
So second dose was introduced in 2018 between 15 to 23 months. And that was because they realized that a good number of children, even after having received the first dose of measles at 9 months, they still come down with measles. Even though it may be milder, but they still come down with measles later on. And so the program introduced the second dose, okay, so that they can improve the herd immunity to at least 85%. So we actually need booster doses of some other vaccines, okay, that can help us to increase the level of protection that our schedule, our Nigerian schedule provides.
Could you mention those vaccines? Really?
Okay, so now we're talking about the Penta, okay? The Penta has 5 vaccines in it, okay? Now, those illnesses that those vaccines are supposed to protect, okay, you still find children that may come down with them because the number of doses we have within our schedule still give room for some children to come down with it, okay? So when we have more booster doses, for each booster dose you give, you increase the percentage protection that a vaccine gives. So associations like Pediatric Association of Nigeria, PAN, had actually some years back came up with what they propose should be a schedule, and that schedule they expect will incorporate more booster doses of most of these vaccines, and will stretch up to much later on in life, 15 years or more, so that we're able to take proper protection of these children up to later, you know, childhood. Okay. Now we realize that a good number of children, rather what we have in our MPI, before the second dose of measles was introduced, there was virtually nothing we give outside the first year of life. If a child receives the 9 months vaccine and goes home, nothing else. And we know what happens when they come to receive their vaccines, what we call the well child clinic, where they receive their vaccines. The nurse or the health worker there will also check their weight, check their height, ask more questions about the child, identify issues on that child, and if where necessary, make appropriate referral to a specialist who can now treat that child. But a situation where we don't have more of such exposures, opportunities for that child to come, receive booster doses, which will offer high percentage protection, and also offer the health work opportunity to identify issues on that child as the child grows. Then he robs us of that opportunity to identify health issues early, health issues that the mother may consider little or may not even know the importance. So at that point, such children are missed. It's only when they now come down with full-blown illness or they are at the point of death that the mother may realize, oh, there's a problem. At that point, things that could have been curbed earlier are lost. Okay, so with what PAN is proposing, if it's implemented, okay, we'll have better protection, we'll have better, we'll derive better benefits or higher benefits from our program. But you see the challenges. We are still dependent on donors for our vaccines. Okay, some other countries have moved. They actually support their vaccines. Okay, some even try to have facilities that can produce some of these vaccines within. Okay, and some medications within their countries. But it's not the same here. So we're dependent heavily on donors, and some vaccines, okay, that some other countries have adjusted. We're still saying, oh, we're receiving donor funds and we're still managing, and it shouldn't really be. I don't think our country is that poor. Okay, and when a group of specialists like PAN, has proposed something from their wealth of knowledge and all that, it should actually be given some priority. It should be looked at and considered. So yes, a lot of vaccines have come in, okay, like what we have for rotavirus came in, second dose of measles has come in. Okay, there's a lot of talk about HPV, human papilloma virus vaccine, okay, which we know 9 to 14 years majorly, okay, but I know that we can do a lot better than where we are.
Okay, so I want to take you back to, we'll still come back to vaccine, but I want to take you back to the challenges. You've mentioned a lot of challenges, and you've, of course, I want to believe that you reached out to the federal government for help, the Ministry of Health and all of that. But how has the government responded to these emergencies?
Well, government, just like in every other sector in our country, the response, you can look at it from different angles, because one is not what is said, it's not by statements, it's about action. So when you look at our budget for health as a country, and you compare that with what it should be, you realize that we are far below where it should be. We're still talking about single-digit percentage for health budget. And that tells us where we place health as a nation. Okay, and then when we look at our health insurance coverage, that's another area where we encourage, even if federal government hasn't been very, hasn't come out fully the way they should, states should take it up. I remember some years back, we, under PEPFAR, under what do they call it? The program we had in ENUGU, Part 2. Okay. Part 2 came up with PPP arrangements. Okay. And for vaccines, they had a lot of views, as well as other areas of health. They had views about what could be considered so that health can be made available to people. People can access health. Okay, but some of these things come up, good ideas, but they don't see the light of the day. Okay, so when it comes to what is budgeted for health, okay, health coverage, universal health coverage, we talked about community-based health insurance. Okay, we also have state health insurance scheme. How effective is it? What is the percentage coverage? Can an ordinary businessman in the market access health care in our health institutions in the state using health insurance? So if we made it mandatory on the health insurance document, it is compulsory. Now the next thing is implementation. Okay, every single individual in the state or in the country above 18 years should be contributors to the health insurance in one way or the other. Okay, and every child, every person in the country or in the state should be able to access health insurance. And the benefit of health insurance, it borders on pooled funds, where there is a pooled fund to support those that can, even you that is contributing and you are so big, you want to go abroad, there are certain things that can happen to you that may not even give you opportunity to buy that ticket and travel abroad. There are things that can, within 24, 48 hours. Malaria, for example, can kill a child within 24 hours. So why wouldn't you have an effective health insurance coverage that offers the benefits to all and sundry? It can contribute dependent on what you generate. Even a vegetable seller in the market can contribute to the health insurance package. It could be 20 naira, it could be 15 naira. But what you know is that there are basic illnesses that should be covered. And when we have that pool of fund and it is big enough, we can actually expand the range of what we have currently. Currently, we have some illnesses that may still look quite basic, but it's not covered by the health insurance. You have to pay out of pocket. Okay, and then instances where you go to and you can't even have any meaningful drug. They'll be giving you drugs that are the very cheap ones that they are even not so certain. And they will tell you that's what the coverage can, that's what the health insurance can cover.
Yeah.
So in other places where it's working well, you can do major surgeries with your health insurance cover. You can access any drug you want with your health insurance cover. And that is what we should be aiming towards. So everybody, having made it mandatory on paper, it should actually be compulsory in real action.